Amanda is here. Yay. There we go.
Hey,
Sis, what's good?
you good time?
I'm chilling.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I just like you saw, I just came back from Costco, getting ready for this barbecue this weekend. We're gonna have to get you up here for one.
I
The
know.
people would love it. We'll figure it out. So you still building front of house, right?
I am.
What's that look like right now? Flip your camera around.
You know, I'm an old lady. Let's see how I can. Okay.
There you go. That's what my front of house looked like last week. Just
This
cables
is
everywhere.
that's my snake. I just left the slack there and
Yeah.
patch stuff in the back of my rack. The dog house. I'm bringing everything out of here now. And got my old setup over there. Have to create my vibe.
The peaceful vibes. I remember like when I hung out with you at the show that I was like, I forgot that they wasn't real. I thought I almost burnt myself once. I like had a phantom burning. I was sitting there trying to get a cool shot of you and was like, oh, that's not real. Never mind. Frozenness. It's Instagram live, people. Well, for those who can hear me at least, my name's Tone Stevens. I'm a front of house engineer, audio nerd, and we are here with Amanda Davis. Technical difficulties happen. It's a reality of life, people.
There it is. I don't
There it
know.
is. Oops. I
I
said
don't
all
know
kind
what
of bad
happened.
things about your technical difficulties. I didn't say nothing bad at all. I didn't. I was very gracious and generous and kind. All right.
Yeah,
So
my
while I
bad.
have your while I have your attention, let's just jump right in. All right. Where's my little list of questions that I sent you?
I don't
Uh,
know.
I sent them to you. So if you ain't reading, that ain't my fault. All right.
Nah, I
Cool.
read them.
So I've heard this story before, but I think your story is great for everybody else to hear. So can you fill us in on how did you get started in live production?
Because I needed some money. uh, I was interning and working in studios in Atlanta. And honestly, it was just like, yo, this can't be life. I need some money. And my friend, um, we went to the SAE together, DJ. He's also my co author on the Berkeley class. He just like was cold calling churches to see if they needed some help in their audio department, and I just went on an interview with him, and they just hired both of us, and that was my first live sound gig at a church at Peachtree Presbyterian. It was
Peachtree Presbyterian.
Yeah, and this was like 2010, 2011 maybe. So this was when like CCM was starting to kind of make its make its way up in the church
I bet you
area.
know more than me because I just started doing church stuff in 2010 myself. So
Yeah. So they had a more traditional Presbyterian service in like their main sanctuary, and they had started to do like the more like contemporary CCM style church services, and that's what I ended up mixing.
awesome.
Um, so that's how I got into live sound. Like literally like just on some, I need some money, I want to do this. And then when I started doing it, I was like, oh, this this is fun. This is way more
It's a
fun.
vibe.
Yeah, it's way more
It's
fun
a
than
whole vibe.
sitting in the studio for 20 hours hitting three. I don't want to do that. And
Yeah.
it just
So
went up from
circle
there.
back to the beginning of your story though. Like what where you thought you were going to start up at,
Um, well,
like your
I guess,
music background.
okay, well, I started as a singer. Like, I've been singing all my life, and I studied vocal performance. I studied to be an opera singer in Chicago at Roosevelt Chicago College Performing Arts. And even like while in school, I realized that okay, this is not what I want to do. So I do not want to be an artist. Do not want to be up here in front of people all the time. So I got my degree, and even in Chicago, a couple years after I graduated, I stayed in Chicago and still tried to pursue the singing thing, and just was like, nah, this is not for me. Um, And I had a friend that went to SAE Atlanta who went to Roosevelt with me, and he was doing fairly well in Atlanta in studios and things like that. So I literally took a leap of faith and went to SAE. Knew nothing about audio, nothing about a compressor or a microphone, input, output. I just literally just took a leap of faith and went to audio school. And so because I went in so like blind and naive, I just was like, okay, I'll be a studio engineer. Like I'll take this everything I learned and learn how to be and become like a great mixing engineer, like recording and mixing engineer. So yeah, just started there, and I just learned, everything I could while I was at school, and like put in the work, and just went from there.
Awesome. So, continuing on with some educational questions, who have been some of your mentors, favorite, not favorite, whoever?
Well, I won't label favorite or not. I'll just say names of people who taught me. I mean, of
Uh,
course, my teachers at SAE, like Scott Keyclack was one of the main teachers, and he had mixed everybody, like did a lot of the Bad Boy stuff, some Beyonce things. So he was the first person that was kind of like a mentor. Um, and then fast forward to the live stuff. I'll say like Cheney Tharp, Kyle Hamilton, Jeremy Peters, Tim Colbert, Kevin Brown. They're all my colleagues, but they have also mentored me and given me bunches of wisdom and like gems as far as mixing and the live world, um, professionally and personally.
yeah, the mixture of both, that dynamic is extremely important.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Because you got to know how to like navigate yourself in this world, especially like business side, and then how to be out here on the road and things like that. So those guys have really, really helped me.
Yeah, Jeremy's an awesome dude. I haven't met Kyle yet, but Jeremy's an awesome dude.
Both of them are crazy dudes.
Yeah, the resumes. Anyways, this is about you and how you out here killing it. So you briefly talked about like the the Berkeley course, and I dropped the link in my bio for
Hmm.
people to see more and sign up or whatever may be the case. And then I also threw the Pensados interview that you did that actually put me on to who you were as a link in my bio. But talk to me about like the whole piece with Berkeley. I know already, but I know everybody else don't know. So like, what was that process like, and what do you think you're leaving as a legacy in that course? What's your
um,
hope that you would leave, I should say?
my hope, well, the process was a lot, and it actually was like it just went live in April, and I was approached about that class back in 2020, like in the middle of the pandemic.
The
So
middle of the pandemic.
yeah, so the process has been long, and I made a post about it when it went live. Like I really like struggled through it because I was dealing with some imposter syndrome and feeling like I don't really know how to do this. I've never done it before, so it was really new to me. But we got here. I
Got there.
I asked DJ to be my co-author to help me do it because um, both of us are real passionate about educating because of our education experience. And what I, to answer your question as far as what I hope to get out or people get out of it, is just like real world, honest um, type of education. Like I don't want um, anyone to feel like when I went to SAE and I learned a lot, but I didn't really get enough education about um, like real world application type things.
For sure.
So I wanted to incorporate a lot of that into the class so people can like not be like, how to apply the ideals and the concepts as far and not just like reading about it and then you going on about your way. Like I wanted to, you know, we did a bunch of like videos that show real world applications. I brought a band in for the videos and to show the different concepts that we're teaching in the class. And it's a intro level type class, so we don't go real deep into things. But you do learn like the basics of like just kind of building a mix, a front house mix, and a monitor world mix. So yeah, it's just like really just kind of educating the novice, like the person I was. Like when I went to SAE, I knew nothing about audio, so that was my approach on writing and teaching the class. Like it was somebody who knows nothing about it can come in and when they finish this course, they can at least go get like a club gig or a church gig.
For sure. And I think that's the starting point. I remember looking at the syllabus and I was like, man, like this could be a little too deep for people, but it's also like you need to know these things before you like
Right.
get into it.
Like some things I couldn't not put in there, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you got to know this. At least, because I want them, like I said, I want them, whoever takes the class, when they're done, they can go get a gig. Like that's the goal.
Awesome. Moving on to the next question. Before I jump to your question, Mr. Reggie, I'm going to finish up mine, but we have it there at the bottom. We'll get to it in a
Reggie,
second here.
because
Um, how does being a musician impact your ability to mix? How has that benefited you being a musician, being a singer?
it's helped me on the end of when the imposter syndrome starts to creep in, like technical stuff. Um, I know what a drum is supposed to sound like. Like studying classical music, you know, I was exposed to a lot of different types of instruments, like timpani, French horn, like all these different things. So it informs how I like approach a mix because I know my musical vocabulary is so wide. I know what something is supposed to sound like and how to pull it together to mix it and to build a palpable mix. And it also helps me like being a singer, like being on the other side of things. I understand what singers need or what they're looking for. So I take my education from that as well, and it helps inform how I approach my mixes. I still gotta hear you sing. You're not gonna hear me sing, Reggie.
I tried, brother. I tried. I tried to get. I'm like sing into that microphone that you trying out. I tried. I ain't gonna lie. I got a no. I got a hard no. It's
Y'all
a
ain't gonna hear
no.
me
I'm gonna
sing.
get it out of you one day. We ain't gonna live this whole life without me. Like, no. Um, what else was to say? So talk more about your approach to mixing. So like top down, where do you start? Do you jump around?
I am I favor drums and vocals, so I make sure that I get my drum mix like right.
Yeah, if people watch that
Um,
video I posted today, they're gonna hear them drums right. Them drums are sounding right. I was like, ooh, I was in the room for that one. That was beautiful. Anyways, go ahead.
I appreciate
Being a
that.
distraction.
I appreciate that, but and I appreciate it because that's the goal. So it it um it affirms me. Thank you for the affirmation. Because like that snare gotta smack you in your face, and the kick gotta be in your chest. So that's what I'm thinking when I'm building my mix. Um, Uh, and I've gotten to a point to where like before I even hear a vocal or whatever, like I have my EQ and kind of compression settings that are go-tos. So I start there. Um, Drums, make sure I get my drums right, and then I honestly just kind of bring in everything else, level it, and then I start like processing things. But I bring my faders up before I even put any plugins, any EQ, anything, just to make sure like, okay, this is where it needs to be. This is where we need to be sitting, and
So
then
like,
I start sculpting.
sorry. So you use waves. So when you look at your waves rack, do you start with just everything inserted but no plugins in the racks, and then say, I know what I need to add, or do you have things in there and the inserts just off?
Mm, I have my go-tos, um, but I just have them off. I have the inserts off, and then
Cool.
after I like level out things with faders, then I'll insert and see like my drum group and start messing around with whatever different compressors I want to use. Like building this tour for Ella, I went through so many. Like I just in rehearsals, I got a loop of drum, like him playing drums, and I just like went through so many different compressors to see what works best, was what I like, saturation too, like different things. So I start off on my left, right. I have like go-tos, and I have my API on there, the 2500, um, and the NLS bus, and then, but I have it off. But those are my go-tos for on my left, right, and then I just go from there.
Cool. So while we're on the topic of plugins and stuff like that, does Amanda, aka the GOAT, use
Yeah.
a lot of multi-band compression?
Do I use multi-band compression? I go back and forth. I do use the F6 on my vocal. Um, that is a go-to. I have it on my main vocal and background vocalist. Um, I go back and forth between the multi-band on the console on the vehicle. I go back and forth on that on my drums and key bass. Um, like right now, I'm just at a point where I'm like just playing around, but sometimes I use multi-band on my drums and key bass.
Copy.
Right behind you.
But so I see the phrase a lot, and I think a lot of anything can go south, especially, I
For
mean, in
sure.
any circumstance of life. A lot of food, a lot of alcohol, a lot of drugs, a lot of compression. So a lot is like, no, like everything has to be done to taste, so
For
you don't go
sure.
off the rails.
And
So
sometimes I don't like, a lot of times, like my friend DJ was like, you have I got the NLS bus on my left, right, but I don't have like the channel on different. I'm like, I don't have to. I don't, just because I don't, my approach is like, just because I have access to all these plugins don't mean I gotta use them. So I'm not like just throwing plugins on things just to, oh, it's the cool thing, or it's, like, if it don't need, like, that's why I build my mix like I do, like bring up the faders. Like I want it to feel good, and I don't want you to hear or feel compression, because that can be like weird. Um, so, but yeah, like compression is like something that I'm still learning. Engineers have to understand that you're gonna forever be figuring that out. But because it can be overused and misused. But I don't throw things on my channels or on my sources like just because I have access to them.
right now, I can respect that
Yeah.
totally. Something that I noticed when I was hanging out with you is like actually you're focused on getting the source right, and you jumped on your talk back.
Mm-hmm.
um, you jumped on your talkback and you were asking some of your musicians to check their actual signal and their sonics of it all, and that's That's huge. I think a lot of people skip that, and we're always trying to like fix things, and I think communication comes into that. So talk about a little bit. I didn't send you this question, but talk a little bit about like how communication flows between you and the stage, and how you build respect between you and the band and the singers.
Well, with Ella is a little different because I came on this gig as production manager in 2018. The end of 2018, I was production manager and front of house. So that's when the respect started, like building the relationship with the band and everybody because I was like production manager. And so, and like my mixes are good. So it's just like they're just like, you gotta respect it or whatever. But I've been with them for so long, like what's this, 4 or 5 years? So we've built a rapport and know how to communicate with each other to get the overall goal, to meet the overall goal, which is to have a good show. So I
So
do
have you
talk
had
to
the
them
same
a lot.
MD the whole time?
Hmm.
Okay. See, I'm learning something now new too. I
Well,
didn't
at
know that.
first,
That's
at first
awesome.
it was Q. Um, I don't know how to pronounce Q last name, but he's with 1500, and then he kind of handed it over to Jamal, the bass player. Um,
Okay.
yeah, once the show was built, and then like after that, it just was like, okay, well, Jamal, it just makes more sense for Jamal to actually be MD. Um, so yeah, but Jamal has been like band leader, MD this whole time. So we've been able to build a rapport um, with each other and me with the whole band.
1500, man. You threw that one in there. Now I'm like really sidetracked. They taking over the game between them and BBE.
Yeah, it's crazy because
Anyways,
my when I first moved to LA, I like my second gig or something was Nipsey Hussle's album release show, and 1500 was the band. It's
and
crazy.
that's where they
That's how I
started at,
met
right?
them. That's how I met them. That's how I ended up on Pensalas Place too.
I remember you telling me
Hmm.
1500. They putting in work for us.
Yeah, Ranch and all them, they are super cool guys.
Yeah, hustlers, man. I love it, man. Like it's
Hmm.
crazy because the whole thought process behind that is amazing. That he can that Rance can choose. He can choose between being a producer, a musician, a writer,
Hmm.
a band member. He has that leverage to play back and forth in the industry, and I think that's phenomenal.
All of them,
I would
like
dream to
Q,
be
that
at that level.
I Q actually produced he and played keys on Trip on Ella's song Trip. So
Yo, is
like
Q the
then
dude that's out with Charlie Puth right now?
I don't know who's Q
No,
who
no, no,
Q
no.
is with
Never mind.
there.
That's a BBE dude. That's a BBE dude. Sorry,
Yeah.
scratch that. I gotta do my research and find out who. His last name is Vandross, right?
Not Q, no. It's
No,
like Gullich or something like that. I think Q's
gotcha,
last name is like Gullich. I can't remember off the top of my head.
gotcha. I'm gonna do my research and discover some more about some more people out here. Yo, so another question that I didn't send you because we were having this debate and I was such a novice about it while I was down there. And I didn't post it in there, but R&B versus pop because I was an idiot. It was like, yo, she does send stuff. Until I heard her live, I was so knowledgeable about Ella's music. So talk me through and educate me to the difference between pop and R&B.
I mean, pop has a. They both just have different sounds. Like I feel like now it's kind of getting merged a little bit, like a Charlie Puth or who. Like I feel like Justin Bieber gets put in pop category because he's white, and I think that might a little controversial, but it's just true. But he makes R&B music, and the difference is it's just like approach, sounds that are used. What else? It's like style of singing, like a lot of stuff makes the
So
difference.
let's talk
What
about the
to
style of
you,
singing part.
since you're saying you were like a novice, like what to you cemented that Ella makes R&B music and not pop music?
My ride home, I looked up an R&B playlist and like an old school R&B playlist and was really listening. I had to do my back homework. I was like Mary J. Blige. And then I heard the whole Ella record and was like, oh, yo, Mary's on this thing.
Yeah,
I was like, that honestly, for the Ella piece of it all, her being R&B versus pop, which I'm sorry, Ella, that I was just an idiot. But that hearing Mary's voice and her encouragement to Ella on the record was like, oh yeah, she's R&B. It's that was easy. And then I started listening to some more Mary, but then I went back to like Luther Vandross and I couldn't tell again. You know what I mean? It's
really,
like going back to like the Luther stuff. And I don't know if it was just because of the era and the sound that was coming out of it all. But I was like, I don't know. Like this sounds like being a keyboard player turned front of house guy. I was listening to like those glassy DX7s and stuff like that, and you don't hear that often anymore. Everything feels like real 80s
hmm
popish. And so that's why I get confused, like
but
between what, like, is it
but
pop?
what I'm saying is what makes it pop? What makes it to you? What makes it pop, and what makes something R&B?
Oh, the sense, man, the sense, the oftentimes the lack of real drums, and the I don't know how to articulate the musicianship side of it all. Um, but there's something super super soulful in R&B and neo soul that I oftentimes don't get outside of the vocal and pop. You know,
But I
like
mean, I don't think that just because you don't have acoustic instruments that changes the genre. Um,
so.
because like if you take like when the synths and everything started, take like New Jack Swing, Teddy Riley, is that pop?
I'm
No, it's
I'm
not.
grimacing. I'm about to say yes. I'm about to say yes because it's
That's
it's
not
it's, it's
pop.
dance music. So I don't know. See, I'm gonna always struggle on this one. But here, a good one. Beyonce is full blown pop artist. But that 1+1 song with the organ and the guitar, that Prince little like esque lick in the beginning of it all, if that hit me with R&B. But then even saying it's Prince, I don't know.
That's
Prince
what I'm
played,
saying.
but he played. Oh, he was funk. I think he would have sat himself heavily in the funk category with pop on top of it.
But I feel like Beyonce is considered a pop artist because she's popular. I do not feel like Beyonce makes pop music.
That's a see again. This last album though is definitely
If you
disco.
listen to if you it's disco, it's house, it's dance, but it's also R&B. Like Plastic Off the Sofa, like as far as really looking sonically, Plastic Off the Sofa is an R&B song.
Well, let's listen to it again.
Beyonce has always made R&B. She's just popular.
So that's so this is the education of it. Any genre of music can be pop music if it's popularized. And
Yeah.
so is that the lag that I'm missing right there? Because like so let's take Ella for instance. Like there's the difference between the stadiums and the like. What would you call the venue that you're in right now? What would you call it? A club? Would you
Yeah,
call it a
it's
small
like
theater?
club, mid-level. Yeah, like Ella will do clubs or like theaters. Janelle do the same.
Got you.
I've done the same venues with Janelle.
But she's done arenas too, right?
She's we do arenas, but that like I've done arenas with Janelle, but it will be like special shows. She hasn't done an arena tour.
I got you.
Yeah,
Got you.
Ella's done arena tours opening um for like she did Ariana Grande back in 2019, I think. Yeah, and we opened for Mary. Like those are arena tours, but Janelle never done an arena tour.
Got you. I wasn't aware of that. Learn something new every day.
Mhm. But like take Janelle, like she makes all kinds of music. She makes pop, R&B, with some rock stuff in there, like orchestral. All of that is there, but is how we can categorize it. Like you can't categorize Janelle's music. They
Right.
they throw her in R&B or soul. Like there's no like soul category with the Grammys. It's R&B
And pop
or pop, right?
or
Or
rock.
hip rock
Right.
or hip hop, right? So what makes it R&B? The some of the sonics, the sound, like some of the instruments that are being used, and just because it's some synths used, that don't automatically take it to pop. It's just an instrument that was chosen to have a particular sound and to convey a particular sound. But it's an R&B song. That's why you can't be like, well, you get all the synths that makes it pop. No, it don't. Stevie Wonder, a pop artist? No.
Ooh. That see, that'd be like calling the Temptations a pop artist. You just don't do it.
But that's what. But if Stevie Wonder is like the god of synths.
This is true. This is this the whole episode then went off the rails to my own selfish quest of understanding music better, and I respect your knowledge for music, which is why I even asked you when we were down there. Like I was so like, or no, I didn't even ask. I just sounded like a doofus and said something out my mouth and was like discovered that I was
Right.
wrong.
I was like,
And I'm
what?
glad that I don't have the fear, because then it takes me on this journey of learning. I don't have the fear to put my foot in my mouth and say, "Hey, I'm wrong." Um, so we have another question from Reggie. Do your
Really?
pre-delays change depending on the venue, or do you keep it song specific?
Uh, Song specific. I don't
Song
know.
specific.
That was one thing Kyle taught me when I was just asking about how to um, approach arenas and things like that. He was like, F that room. Like, trust your console. Don't do nothing like, like pre-delays or anything, even with tuning in a room. Like, he's like, trust your console. F that room. Those are the wise words of Kyle Hamilton. That's how he talked to me.
So talking about trusting your console, do you do all your delay in the desk, like a tap delay, or do you set it up in waves and then change the tempo per song on your snapshots?
I program the tempo. I use H delay. My main delay is H delay, and I just set the tempo per snapshot. I used to
Awesome.
tap because, and even with that though, it depends. Like with Janelle, she used to cover Prince's "Let's Go Crazy," and I wanted a real just off tempo um, delay on her vocal,
Mm-hmm.
so I tapped it because it was really just about feeling. I couldn't program that. So it really depends on the song. But for the most part, um, I'm programming into my snapshot.
I feel that. Got another question. What's the worst venue you've come across? Sound mainly, not crew. LOL. I'm gonna answer that question first. They all bad. Ain't no venue if it ain't got great acoustics. Like I would rather say what's the best venue, but they all bad in my opinion.
Let me see. Let me say, hey, Alex. That's Alethea. Um, what's the worst venue? I would say the Superdome in New Orleans. hate that venue. I hate that place. It's bad. Hey, Kristen. But yeah, the Superdome in New Orleans every time has been like, oh, I'm ready for the show to be over.
I can dig that. So before you have to run and let's wrap this up, last question for me, pros and cons of being on tour in the roadie life of it all.
Pros is traveling and going to these different places, different countries, um, experiencing different food and like cultures. Um, Professionally, you grow. Like I feel like I've been doing like some of my best work now on this tour, just because of repetition. Um, like just putting in the hours and things like that. And just you kind of build a family out here when you're on tour because you live together. That's why it's important to like. I'm at a point now where like I ain't taking every gig because I don't want to be on tour with anybody. Like it really matters. Your environment matters, and the people around. So that's a pro for like this particular tour because everybody's like so cool. Um, Cons is it's kind of hard on your body. You have late nights, especially if you're trying to be healthy. It's hard to like eat right. But like I made myself this tour like make sure I stay on my workout regimen and things like that. Um, and like you miss stuff at home. Like on previous tours, I've missed an uncle's funeral, missed
Mm.
weddings, like baby stuff with your friends. All my friends got kids and stuff like that. But like I have to miss a lot of stuff because I'm on the road. I'm out working. Um, uh, what else? I don't know. It's just a few things I can think of. I love being on the road though. Like I'm ready to go home now. Like today is the last
It's the
today
last
the
day.
last show of a tour and I am running to the airport in the morning. But like long as I get this week off, I'll be fine. I could go back and I could come back out after this week, but I definitely need a break.
Awesome. There was one more question that we skipped. What's the best venue you've ever been in?
Best venue. Hmm. Um I just did a couple Fillmores. The Fillmore in Detroit was cool. Um, what else? Wow, this stuff running together. I like the Fillmore in Charlotte.
Okay.
I'm always happy to see that on the schedule.
I love Charlotte in general. Charlotte,
Yeah, I
South
like Charlotte too.
Carolina, Atlanta. Those are my favorite cities.
I like
Um,
Charlotte.
is there anything else that we can cover? I feel like we've covered all of the bases. So first and foremost, thank you so much for taking time out your busy schedule. You're setting up your console right now. So mad respect for giving some time to be able to do this.
Thank you.
Um,
Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Been wanting to do this since the pandemic. But the pandemic was so rough. It was like, man, who wants to be? I can't be on the road right now.
Right.
I
Yeah,
don't
that
want
would
to
have been
talk
a
to
little.
nobody. Yo, I felt like life was a pimple in 2020. It's just like, I just want to pop this joker and move on. Anything else that you want to let anybody know? Again, for those who are watching, in my bio, the link to both her Pensados episode on YouTube and her class are located. So if you're looking to learn and grow, jump on and hit the Berkeley stuff up. It's it's fire. Period. But you go ahead and
I
Mandy,
for,
as your friends call you.
I forgot about the Pensados.
I ain't never
So
gonna forget about
I
that. That
need to
was
go watch that again.
it's in my bio.
I probably like talking. I don't know. That was like I couldn't believe it was happening. First of all, so I was like super nervous. I
You
need
should
to
have been,
watch
because
it
it was
again.
like you and Sully, Sean Sullivan, were the only two people that I ever seen on Pensados as a live person. I'm
Live
like,
sound, yeah, they don't do
yeah,
it a
I'm
lot.
like, that puts you in the up. Now you got a Berkeley class. You got these like these benchmarks that ain't the rest. None of us else gonna get to do that,
Oh
sister.
my god,
I ain't gonna never get me no class at Berkeley. I don't want a class at Berkeley.
you
I
might,
want to.
you never know.
No, I honestly, unless they talk about journalism, I'm trying to get better at doing this and letting other people share their knowledge. I'm old. I don't want to be out here talking about what I did and what I do.
Oh
No,
my
no. I
god,
want to listen. I want to listen better because I talk too freaking much.
you're not old.
Too, too
No,
old to be on the road. But
that's what I'm trying to figure out too. Like I right now, I'm just like, okay, I want to tour until my body is like, girl, we can't do this no more.
yeah,
But like that's not to say if an opportunity comes, you know, where I can be stationary, if it's right, then you know, I might have to
for sure.
consider it. But I do want to tour like some more. I love touring. There's
It's
nothing
awesome,
like
and
it.
it's great from a foundational standpoint because I mean I did the road life until like 2010, and then I switched to doing some church stuff. But the pre 2010 stuff set up the foundation financially for me to be able to actually move and do other things. And so I'm also passionate about helping other people learn how to get there. And see, like honestly, there's not one way, so I can't say, oh, here's how I did it. It don't matter that you might not have the same passions as me,
Right, exactly.
but being able to talk to people through their passions of how to get there, that's a whole nother topic. Today's about
Right.
Amanda Davis.
Have you
Later, it'll be about that. Yep, go ahead.
do you know Reggie? Who?
I don't know Reggie.
Okay, y'all need to know each other.
We need to know each other.
Reggie is PJ Morgan's engineer, studio
Stop
and
it.
and
No,
live.
I'm hanging up on Reggie right now. PJ,
We talking
PJ's
about we talking about
PJ
my Pensado's place. He's a Grammy award winning live sound and recording engineer who you should
PJ
know.
PJ's R&B.
Yes, but he plays synth.
I'm just messing with you. I had to do it again.
Right.
Yo,
Talking about some synth. That's all DJ be
I'm
on.
doing a podcast. Say hi.
Hey,
I don't think you. I don't know if you've ever seen my wife's face.
no, I
We got
haven't.
to catch a show together one of these days.
You talk about it all the time, but I've never
Yeah.
seen it.
Until he's on the stage
Don't
with
say Maroon
Maroon.
5. Exactly. That's
Yes.
pop
See, that's a whole
music.
other story. But dude, still
That's
that red.
pop music.
Yeah, pop music. Is it? Is it pop or is it rock and roll? Freaking
What?
It's popular
Maroon
music.
5
It's
is pop.
popular music, and but it's a genre. But they do guitars and stuff. Just because
So,
they threw PJ in there with a hammer organ and whatnot. We're going off the rails. You got to finish working. I know you have a call to do or whatever you call that thing. The last day of show conversation. So
yeah.
thank you again. We might not might we should do this again, but I got to come up
Yeah, I'm
with more
down.
questions. And this is fun. It's always fun, but it's turned into like my ridiculous banter. It's like just a friends conversation now. But yo, seriously, thank you. Safe travels home.
Thank you, Tom.
And enjoy your last night. Don't blow nothing up. Mute something if
Um,
you feel like it.
I am. I'm go hard tonight.
You
Get
gonna
out of
go
here.
hard. I'm gonna blow
Land to
something
rock.
up. Sorry I took out your tweeters.
Right.
You're in Toronto. I don't come back up to Toronto anyways. But yeah, you got a few minutes. Thank you so much. I'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon.
All right, so.
Later. Thank you everybody who joined and hung out with us for that 40 some minutes there. Really appreciate it. I'm going to drop this on YouTube. So if you're following me here, you'll see the link in my bio at some point in time. Hopefully I can get to it today. If not, it'll be this week for sure. Peace and blessings.